Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And we are back here today talking to Dr. Laura Griffith Garland, and she's going to have a great conversation in store for us as a coach, as just an amazing woman who's here with us to have a great conversation, always inspiring, and give us some great advice. Please welcome to the show and introduce yourself and company.
Hi, I'm Laura Griffith Garland, and I am owner of Charleston Holistic Center, and specifically Charleston Reiki and Tarot. I do life coaching, I do shamanic work, I do Reiki, I do tarot, and I tutor math and science.
Oh my goodness. So you do a little bit of everything. And the website, Tell us how we can reach out to you.
It's charlestonreikiandtarot.com, or you can email at drlaura.coach@gmail.com.
All right. Awesome. And what do we have in store today for our listeners?
Well, I was actually having a little trouble coming up with a topic today. So I did what I do. I went to some cards, and just because full disclosure and make sure, you don't do whatever. I use Soul's Journey by Giant Von Krog.
Okay.
Just so it's a full disclosure. And I ended up with 3 cards. I ended up with death, health, and happiness. And I sat there for a second and I'm like, what the heck? And then I was like, no, those absolutely are perfect for right now.
Tell us.
So the first card is death, and everybody's like, oh, death. I'm like, well, full disclosure, yes, we have COVID. Yeah, we have 800,000 in the US who have passed. And so I was thinking about that, and I'm like, there's a lot of people who are doing the holidays this year, and they're missing someone. Someone's going to be missing from the table, and that's going to be tough. That's going to be really tough for a lot of people. And so how do they get back to happiness? How do they keep their health going? That's a really tough topic this year. And then of course we just had the everything that happened in Mayfield, Kentucky, which interestingly, my husband's relatives come from that whole area. No one was injured, but so there's a connection there with all of that, and I just was like, wow, this is a really serious thing that we have going on with this, and how do we get back to happiness? And it's not necessarily easy. If you have the availability for a grief counselor and that's what you need, grief counseling is really super important. Trauma counseling for those in the Mayfield area going through that tornado. Having lived in the Midwest for a while and been there when the sirens have gone off, it can be really traumatic. And then with what happened, just counseling again for something like that. I'm a life coach. I do work with people with that, but if you've got real trauma going on or real grief going on, you need to see a professional with that. I want to make sure that people know that they should do that. It's important. It's very, very important, so that you don't destroy your health, so that you can find happiness again. And one of the things that I do tell people is to think about what their loved one, would they want them to not be happy, or would they want them to find some way to get back to happiness? It might not be immediate, but to get back to happiness. Okay, that's the real heavy. That's the real heavy on this. Now we'll go to the other meaning of death. Death, the more metaphorical, which actually completely corresponds to the time of the year. This is the death of the year, because death means endings. So we have the death of the year. We're just a week from the shortest daylight of the year. So that the sun is dying until we get through the winter solstice. And it becomes a very introspective time for a lot of people. The weather's gotten colder, we're inside more, the sun goes down really, really early, even here. So you have that a lot longer evening time frame where you can have this real introspection to think about what the death of this year means. What do we want to close out? What do we want to finish before we get to New Year's? What habits do we want to cancel and before we get to New Year's? Because of course we're all going to make New Year's resolutions, but maybe use this time the next 2.5 weeks to really think about how to end the habit that you want to close out, so that when you make your resolutions, you can start those better habits, hopefully getting to more health. Because, I mean, our standard New Year's resolution is usually something like go to the gym more, eat less carbs or sugar or something like that. If you smoke, it's stop smoking or something like that. And really right now, in these next 2.5 weeks, think about how to actually close that out. Like, how are you going to get yourself to work out more? There is something that you'll do. You may not want to go to the gym. I hate that. And with Omicron coming back, we don't know a lot about Omicron, but we apparently know that I saw a headline this morning that it is spreading even faster than Delta. So, oh my gosh. So I don't know. You might not want to go to the gym. Your gym may not be open this winter. I don't know. So you have to, especially if you live in a northern part of the country where going outside is really not all that fun.
Yeah,
a lot of days in the winter. So use the time now to think about what you are going to do if you aren't going to go to the gym. Are you going to get one of those projection things where you can do an online service where you can do classes in your home? Are you going to just clear out that extra room that's the junk room? Because so many people have one of those. To make it someplace where you can do some form of exercise. If you do live in a part of the country where you can go out and walk more frequently, walking is absolutely excellent. If that's your entry into improving your health, think about what path you're going to take. Think about, now this is not a fun topic, but if you're a female, especially, think about how you're going to vary the path that you take if you're out walking or running, so that you're not doing the same exact thing,
old boring mundane thing. Yeah. Okay, good.
I watched way too much Criminal Minds and I was a security officer for my command when I was in the Navy. So thinking about safety is important if you're going to start an exercise program. So not just safety for your muscles and joints, which is super important. Don't jump into something that's going to make you have so much pain that you're not going to do it the next day. And the whole, if there's no pain, there's no gain. And they've pretty much decided that that's really a lot of a misnomer. If you haven't done anything and you start to move, yeah, you're probably going to feel a little bit achy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But if you're doing stuff where you are in so much pain that it's hard to move, you're inflaming your body. That's inflaming, and inflammation is essentially the root of all evil when it comes to health anymore. That's kind of where they're going with this. If you're inflaming your body in any way, it's really not good. And if you're in your 30s or 20s, you can get away with it and it doesn't feel so bad, but it's going to age you.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to, the inflammation ages you. And no one wants to do that. If you're already in your 40s or older and you're doing exercise that is the day afterwards is making it so you're really stiff, that's definitely inflaming you. And you really don't want to do that because that's just, it's gonna age you even faster. So the keys to all of this are doing something where you ease into it, where you're varying things, where you're gonna do it. And that's the important part. Don't sign up for the gym if you hate gyms.
Yeah, I don't like gyms. Okay.
I hate gyms. I'm never going to sign up for one. I can't stand them. So, but then there's other aspects to our health, right? Eating better.
Mm-hmm.
I tell my clients this all the time. Don't go to the grocery store and buy it if you shouldn't eat it. If it's not in your pantry or your fridge or your freezer, and you have to actually put on your clothes and get in your car, or if you're in one of the Northeast cities where you ride the subway or whatever, you gotta actually go out. And actually go out and buy it, you're not going to do it. The likelihood of you doing that is really, really small. So don't buy it if you shouldn't eat it. You just don't. And if you do have some in your house, then put it like on that really upper cabinet where you actually like have to get out a ladder, or you have to climb on the cabinet to get up there and get to that back corner. Put it in there, because you're wanting to do that in the middle of the night is really small, or even in the evening. Or someone in your household might notice if you're getting out the step ladder or climbing on the counter. Mm-hmm. And they might be like, what you doing? So it's simple things, but if you plan for them now, then when New Year's comes around, we can really start thinking about building something new. We can have a rebirth from the death of this year.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do. We want to have a rebirth in 2022.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
2020 and 2021 have been tough. Let's do a rebirth in 2022. And the health is just so important. It was really weird. I actually got a call today from South Carolina Department of Health and DHEC. And they're doing a survey about tobacco use. A lot of people's New Year's resolutions are to stop smoking. I don't use tobacco, never used tobacco. Have always thought it was really gross. And but the survey reminded me that we have a lot of people in the US who still are using tobacco. And now we have the e-cigarettes.
Yeah.
And those have been marketed to young people. And there's been in South Carolina, there's been a big problem. And I'm pretty sure this probably goes around the country, but I know what's been here on the news. There's been a big problem of them selling to children, like as young as like 12.
Wow.
And like literally convenience stores selling to kids as young as 12, because the clerk wasn't trained or whatever, didn't believe that there was really a problem with them because it wasn't cigarettes. So they've had that on our news, and it's very disturbing to think that middle school is being hooked on nicotine. And the e-cigarettes, a lot of them have they've been found to have really odd chemicals in them.
Yeah.
And it's been doing really not great things to people. And given that we still have the coronavirus and a lot of the kids are not necessarily vaccinated, doing any of that product is really bad for your lungs, even on the vape. So it's very bad. And the product themselves lowers your immune system. And so we've got this going on, and it's just not so good. So I'm asking parents to think about, if you have kids, to check to see if they know that vaping is just as bad as smoking. So, they might not know. They might think that it's fine because of the way the ads have gone out. They make it seem like it's okay, some of the ads. So there's that. Then there's alcohol. That's another health consideration. We have people who often say that they're going to cut back on alcohol usage for a New Year's. So we've got 2.5 weeks to New Year's. So you want to think, if you have a large alcohol supply in your house, are you still going to have that when New Year's rolls around? Because again, if it's available, you're going to do it. If you're stressed, or if it's a habit. A lot of people, it's a habit. They come home and they do a certain drinks, and that's a habit. It is a way to relieve stress, but it's not the greatest
best way.
Because there's a Cambridge study that came out this fall that showed that 0 amount of alcohol was acceptable for your brain. Any amount at all kills brain cells. Really? Any amount. I
thought a glass of wine, they said a day. That's why the Italians are so healthy and thin and in shape.
Oh, I know. They say
every
that.
day a new study comes out. An apple a day is good for your. And then they said, don't eat an apple. Like, is that really? I got to Google this. Not even any alcohol kills brain cells. Why do they say it's good for you?
Brain cells.
Antioxidants and all that stuff. I don't get it. Okay.
I know. But that was the study that came out this fall, was any alcohol kills brain cells.
Wow.
Personally, I like my brain the way it is. So, and my husband, not particularly drinks, but like with family or something like that might. But when that study came out, he's like, wow, I'm over 50. I don't know if I want to start losing more brain cells.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah. So that was literally a consideration for us, and not doing that, because we did get together with family for Thanksgiving, and where he would have had most evenings that we were together, only one evening did he have any, and he's like, okay, that's it, I'm done, I'm not having any more for the whole weekend. So it was a consideration, and we don't keep any in the house right now, because the study came out and we're like, yeah, no, I kind of like my brain the way it is. and there's other stress relieving things that we can do. Meditation, of course. Always the best stress reliever actually is meditation. And again, you don't have to meditate for an hour. You don't have to meditate for a half hour. You can do 5 minutes of meditation. 5 minutes of meditation is better for you than any alcoholic drink. As far as how it helps your body, how it actually in the long run makes you feel. Meditation leads to happiness that's sustained. Alcohol never leads to happiness that's sustained. You might be happy at the moment.
For that moment, for those. Yeah.
But it doesn't lead to sustained happiness, whereas meditation leads to sustained happiness. And by the way, people who exercise even a little, and by this I may mean you go walk for 20 minutes. That may be your exercise, but you do it every day. Every day you go do that. And that may be your exercise. And that is actually really great. So you don't have to be pushing a bunch of weights. You don't have to be sweating like crazy, just getting up and moving. But that repeated, continual doing that actually leads to happiness too. That improves all those brain chemicals that lead
And
to
the neurons
happiness.
firing and all that stuff that you
Yes.
probably know about. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And then a little bit more with exercise. There was the study that just came out that in mice, they did this in mice, where they had mice that exercised, and they took their blood and they gave them the mice that didn't exercise, and the mice that got the transfusion of whatever, I'm not really up on exactly what they did, but there was some transfer that they did. Those mice then showed massive improvement on running their mazes and doing this sort of thing, learning, cognitive learning.
Wow.
So
Ooh.
people who exercise actually learn faster, and that has been shown. So, and now they've shown that there is something from exercising that can be transferred. I'm not saying we should do this in humans, but it really shows that exercise improves cognition, improves your ability to think, improves your ability to process. And so even if it's just 20 minutes that you're going for a walk, that can be huge for you. Absolutely. If you do it every day, that can be huge. Do not have to do those long, horrible, hard workouts. Personally, I love to do my walk. I like to do a Tabata. You can look up that online. It's a 4-minute. It's a 4-minute hard exercise.
What is it?
Tabata.
How do you spell it?
T-A-B-A-T-A.
Okay.
T-A-B-A-T-A. It's named after I think he's a Japanese guy,
Okay.
who kind of looked at this and invented this. And it's 4 minutes. You do 20 seconds of super hard exercise, 10 seconds of rest, and then you swap to a different exercise. So you usually do like one for upper body and one for lower body, and you just alternate those back and forth for 4 minutes total. And then you're done. Then you're done. They're amazing. And they have been found to really improve all kinds of function in the body, and you don't have to worry about the inflammation.
Okay.
It's not worrying about the inflammation. Another health thing that can lead to happiness actually is intermittent fasting. We've heard a ton about this recently, but what it usually is you stop eating sometime in the evening, and then you don't eat breakfast. You eat lunch. So you make sure you get at least 12 hours without eating. Okay. Just at least 12 hours. Some people go 16, some people go 12. You got to feel your body out on that and see how that works best. You can have a coffee or tea in the morning, but you can't have any creamer or sugar in it or honey in it.
I got milk.
So, yeah. But it's noon. So okay. Hopefully you've probably gone 12 hours without eating at this point. Most people stop eating somewhere, depending if they snack at night, maybe 8 or 10 o'clock at night. And then, so you can go 12 hours. And there's a real big key with this that goes to Alzheimer's. My mom passed due to Alzheimer's, and it runs in our family. So I'm very concerned with this, but they just had a study that came out that found there's the plaque that builds up in your brain that has to do with the Alzheimer's. And they have found out that a lot of the reason it builds up is something called the body no longer goes into autophagy, which is where it eats Pac-Man. Think Pac-Man. It eats bad stuff. Yeah. It eats the cells that are dying. It eats it does a cleanup. Autophagy is a cellular cleanup. And this happens when you have fasted. And you have to have fasted to do it and have some exercise. And when we're older, we tend not to exercise as much. We tend to eat more because we're sitting around and there's time to eat. And so we eat a little bit. We might not eat a lot, but we eat little bits often. That's what a lot of older people do. Instead of having that big break. And so you do the at least 12 hours, up to 16, you don't go past that, usually. Again, feel your body out. But what it does is it puts you into this autophagy state where you're cleaning up. You got little Pac-Mans going through, cleaning up what's in your brain. So it really cleans the plaque in your brain. And so exercise and intermittent fasting do that. They put you into that state and clean up the plaques so you don't have to worry about the Alzheimer's. So if there's Alzheimer's in your family and concern, really consider doing the intermittent fasting. It's one of the fastest ways to make sure that you're keeping your brain cleaned up. So less alcohol, so we don't want to kill brain cells, and do the intermittent fasting so that you're cleaning your brain up, which also, of course, leads to more happiness, because if your brain is cleaned up, you're thinking better. Thinking better leads to happiness.
Absolutely.
So a lot of things
clearing
to think
the
about.
clutter out of your life. Yes.
Yes.
Emotionally, spatially, physically, I think helps too.
Yes,
It's that time of
completely.
year. Oh my goodness.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. So Dr. Laura Garland, tell us how we can reach out to you. Give us the best forms of contact, please.
Sure. Direct call, 843-259-8349. Email drlaura.coach@gmail.com. That's drlaura.coach@gmail.com.
Perfect. We'll be in touch again before the holidays, or
Yes.
we are.
Yes.
Good. Next week?
Yes.
Good. I'm sorry. I don't know the schedule till like the day
Yeah.
of, so thank you so much for your time. You have a great day, and
You too.
we'll see you again next week. And thank you to all of our listeners and viewers today. Have a great day. We'll be back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.